How's everyone? Welcome in. I have a flickering light behind me. And I don't know whether, like, sometimes if I have the light off, it's scary to me because it's like this, like, looming darkness, but now it's just, like, flickering. This is life with fucking LEDs. Like, are any of the robots listening? We want tungsten light bulbs. Like, we hate LEDs. We hate fluorescents. Like, just bring incandescent light bulbs back. I'm gonna turn that off. It's ridiculous. I'm here. Oh my God, y'all. Okay, we're here for Secret Teachings of Jesus. This is the secret midnight sermon that we do on Saturday nights, usually in the wee hours of the morning between Saturday night and Sunday. This is the segment of the week where we delve into the Nag Hammadi scriptures. We are currently on the Gospel of Philip. I am preheating the oven for a frozen pizza. I usually am a cook. If you don't know me, I like to batch cook like once a week or so and have leftovers, but I have been very busy recently, so I have not batch cooked. I am coming in from work, and basically we are going through the Gospel of Philip. We started last year on the Gospel, or the Secret Book of James, and it had more dialogue and more character work. But the Gospel of Philip so far has been these like cryptic portions that lead one to sort of mull over the content in like a mental yoga. So yeah, we are here in the Gospel of Philip, and one moment, that was not the portion we were going to do tonight. I think it's on this page. Oh, Sowing and Reaping. So our portion tonight is Sowing and Reaping. And basically, I'm not like a theologian or anything. I was just like interested in these things. And I thought I would read these to us once a week because I didn't know when I'd have time to read this on my own. So we're just exploring and having fun together. And I choose the portion right before I start the video. I read through really quick, find one that's like kind of standing out, and then I just go into it and we start unpacking it. So this is just like the downloads that are coming to me now. I am a little bit fried from the night at work, so my thoughts are always scattered, or they feel scattered when we do these episodes, but somehow they all come together in the end. So we'll just see how it goes. But with no further ado, the Gospel of Philip, our portion, Sowing and Reaping. Whoever sows in winter reaps in summer. Winter is the world. Summer is the other aeon, the eternal realm. Let's sow in the world to reap in the summer. And for this reason, we should not pray in winter. For winter comes summer. Oh, from winter comes summer. If someone reaps in winter, the person will not really reap, but will pull out the young plants. And such do not, okay, wait, hold on, I'm gonna say that again. If someone reaps in the winter, the person will not really reap, but will pull out the young plants, and such do not produce a crop. That person's field is barren, not only now, but also on the Sabbath. Okay, so very interesting. I think this is like the juxtaposition of where we put our value in our focus and our consciousness. It's like, are we putting our focus into our efforts and our legacy that we're leaving in the physical realm, and we're putting all our attention into that, into material pursuits? hoping to reap the benefit of our success and to see that validation in the material presented to us in this life? Or do we value the intrinsic work that we do, the elevation of the soul, like that process and that path that will actually benefit us in the other realms? Like when we drop the flesh suit, we're still this soul, we're still this spirit, and we take it with us after this. And so the only place, the only time that we have the opportunity to really change, to evolve our soul, like we keep taking this soul with us, whether it's in physically incarnated or in the non-physical, the soul is with us. And so the only place that we can expand our consciousness, to elevate the soul, to give more clarity and power and strength and balance to the soul, the only time we can do that work is in this physical realm. Otherwise, the soul is like locked in where it is. And so we have to be living in this life and learning the lessons and embodying the wisdom in order to do the alchemy of turning our darkness into light. And so that can only be done on the physical realm. So this playing field is like of utmost importance. And if you're not in the game, then you're wasting your incarnation here. And so let's now, having that kind of like thought to set our muse bouche, if you will, to wet the palate, let's go back and read this again. So whoever sows in winter reaps in summer. Winter is the world. Summer is the other aeon, the eternal realm. So whoever sows in winter reaps in summer. Winter being this world. So sowing in this world and reaping in summer is, okay, so in this world, it's not making your riches in this world so that you can be glorified in the afterlife. That's not what it is. It's not even doing your good deeds in this world so you can be glorified in the afterlife. Well, we're not going to say that in a finite way. Okay. So whoever sows in winter reaps in summer. Winter is the world. Summer is the other aeon. So what really counts is, what are we doing in this life to prepare our soul for the next realm? Meaning, it's about correcting your weaknesses and seeing the themes of your life, what it's presenting to you. Do you struggle with addiction? Do you struggle with drug addiction or sex addiction? Or are you a shopaholic? Do you avoid intimacy? Like, what is your thing in this life that you need to work on? What do you recognize? What is your list of things about yourself that have been common themes? You know, most of us don't have all of these random problems that are all over the place all the time. For the most part, we have a few, like, reoccurring things that are the core that sprout off and create other problems. And so it's only in the physical incarnation that our soul can come here and complete its process. And so every soul in each existence is allotted like this amount of density and darkness that we are responsible for alchemizing in each lifetime. And so our soul has this blueprint, right? And we have certain weaknesses and certain strengths and certain contracts to be in certain places with certain people at certain times throughout these lifetimes. And it's all orchestrated in order to turn this density that we're given, because we know that in physics, the law of conservation of matter says that matter cannot be created nor destroyed. So what can we do with it? Like, we can't obliterate evil. We can't obliterate darkness. We can't obliterate pain. But what we can do is we can transform it, transmute it. And so we take our shortcomings and we work with those, and they usually bring us pain and discomfort. And we evolve, hopefully, intentionally, those shortcomings into strengths, into virtues. We take our vices and we bring them into balance so that they're powers, so that we've overcome our demons and they've transcended into powers, into angels. And so we've taken our vices and we brought them into balance, and there are now virtues. Okay? So whoever sows in winter reaps in summer. So the winter is this physical realm. Many times I like to call it the avatar, or like the video game that we're in. And the video game doesn't really start until we, with our free will, are like, game on. And when you get a game on, it's like when you decide to start the spiritual growth, the soul growth, the evolution, when you're not just a physical person going through life, dealing with mundane issues and reacting to things in your primal animal, like lower human consciousness. But when you have actually awakened enough to be like, you know what? I want to change. I want to become the fullest expression of my soul in this life. And so I know that that is going to take me on a journey, and I'm going to have to work on myself. And so that is like game on. And all of a sudden, all the rules and all the stakes for you are activated. And so what I like to call muggles, who are not activated, they might be going through their life and they don't go through the same kind of challenges. You know, the stakes aren't the same for them. And that's because they're not under the direct supervision of the light. People who aren't really trying to have a soul-led life, or like a spiritual-led life, like they're not trying to evolve or like transcend, it's like the angelic realm and the heavenly realm and like the divine realm has just been like, okay, well, their free will has like taken them out of the game. So they're not like, they're kind of a waste of our energy, right? So we're just going to kind of let them do their thing, and it's going to be kind of easier for them and whatever, but it's not really going to count for anything either. They're just like sort of breaking even. But these people, the spiritual people, they count. They're under direct supervision, and so they know better, and so their actions count more, so they're going to be punished faster because they need to be corrected quicker. They're going to be blessed in different ways that are like more and more like vivid and magical and crazy, but the stakes are higher because these people are now in the game. They've activated, right? So these are the people that are sowing in winter. They're planting their seeds now because they know that the harvest is they want long-term fulfillment, right? I know that if I only chase after material delights, it's not going to be ultimately fulfilling, right? Like I've always been like a filmmaker, and that kind of realm has always spoke to me. Storytelling and visuals and creating a world. And so I was in pursuit of that for a long time, but I also kind of had this like urge to go into the spiritual direction. And it's weird because like just the pursuit of film and all of that, like it was like the vessel I was reaching for. It wasn't ultimately fulfilling for me. But what was more fulfilling is connecting with the light. And so for me, it's a lot more literal. For some people, it's different. It's not that on the nose, you know, but for me it was very obvious. It was like, here's this very worldly material pursuit here. It's like film, Hollywood, and it can be like a very divine art form. And then as opposed to leaving that realm to go into the life of a prophet, essentially, and a mystic, and to be sitting here on Saturday night, disgusting with like people's like leftovers all over me, but just to be privileged enough to talk about the Nag Hammadi scriptures, because my life allows for it more. And so to me, where I find fulfillment is not when I'm chasing after like money and recognition and possibly fame, right? So many people talk about like, oh, I got the glamorous job. I got the big ego boost. I got the fame. I'm like, I know famous people and famous people know me. That doesn't matter to me at all. It brings me no fulfillment, right? And so a lot of people, when they're like, oh, I finally got the dream. I finally succeeded. I finally got my manifestation. But it's not fulfilling. There's no fulfillment there. It's because they're looking to the vessel for the fulfillment instead of the light, right? Like the life force, the high, the hit, it's all the light, right? But when we focus on the package that it comes in, rather than being able to like connect with that and tap into it on our own, we make idols. And we worship that is outside of us, that is outside of the Creator. We're putting the focus off of what's actually fulfilling, and we're misdirecting it. And so that would be sowing in summer. So those of us who sow in winter are looking for fulfillment in the things that are sustainable. We're looking to the essences behind what is it about this thing that I think is going to be fulfilling, right? It's really when you find inner peace and you do the work on yourself, where you're able to love yourself, where you find inner peace inside, where you make peace with your weaknesses and your shortcomings, and you can embrace them. And you connect with something greater than yourself. And like there's something that's driving you, that it's not just receiving for the self alone, but it's receiving for the sake of sharing and you know, being there for others as well. And so at that point, you're starting to generate a connection with fulfillment that is sustainable, that's not based on outside validation from others. It's not based on pride. It's not based on an ego boost. It's not based on your material pursuits or successes or possessions. You have a fulfillment that you have a level of fulfillment that is coming from the inside, that you can be satisfied wherever you are. And the changing circumstances around you aren't affecting you so much anymore. And so you're finding that you're having more affinity with the light because you're coming to a state of unwaveringness, because you're not changed by the change of circumstances. And so in that realm, you are having more affinity with cause consciousness, right? With the light. The light is the cause. The light is let there be light. Boom, big bang, right? I influence and something happens, right? That's the light. It's the cause. The effect is that animal consciousness, that, simulation, threat, temptation, right? The animal reacts. It reaches. It runs. So we're rising above that. We're rising above that animal primitive consciousness to become more of our divine consciousness, where we can pause and choose with intention. What do I want? How do I align with my deeper fulfillment and not this fleeting moment of reactivity, temptation, scarcity, lack, doubt? How do I choose as a conscious co-creator and use my free will to create the next step forward? So, whoever sows in winter reaps in summer. So whoever's doing the soul work in this life now is going to reap in summer in the next life. Now, that's here and now, and then, right? Like the next life that we reincarnate in, we will bring this consciousness and up level with us. But also, it has to do with here and now as well. That when we transform on the inside, it is then reflected in our material realm as well. It's like whatever is true for us on an energetic level, on a vibrational level, has to be reflected and manifested on the outside. So whoever sows in winter, like whoever sows in the soul realm and the spiritual realm, will reap in their material realm as well. So if you do this soul correction in this life, it's like you're unblocking the things that are preventing your blessings from coming in. You're correcting the things that are preventing you from being able to receive love, abundance, opportunity. You're correcting those things, you're changing them, you're evolving them or transcending them. Okay, so whoever sows in winter reaps in summer. Winter is the world, summer is the other aeon. So summer is the non-physical realm, the eternal realm, the realm of our soul and our spirit. And so when we take off these flesh suits, it's like our consciousness, our soul, our spirit, our awareness is still there. And so where is that, right? It's in this these other realms or a non-physical space. But whatever it is, whatever we do in this life, like it puts into a spiritual bank account that we take with us into the next life and into these liminal spaces in between. Let's sow in the world to reap in summer. So that's again pointing out that like the only place that you can do the work that will change the soul, that will transform the soul, is here in the physical realm, right? We can't, like, we can take on wisdom and we can take on revelation and we can have these spiritual epiphanies and revelations, but they don't count. They don't actually alchemize the darkness into light and move it on the scale. Like, right? Like, so at the, like, we each have a scale in our lives. And so we have our darkness and our light. And so whenever we are transforming that darkness, we are putting that power on the side of the light. But when we short circuit and when we give in to temptation, we give in to fear, we give in to scarcity, we give in to lack, we give in to doubt, that takes that light and puts it on the dark side. So that's what it's saying. It's like when we're here in this realm, in this winter realm, we are doing the work, the physical work of interacting with each other and having hurtful moments and being triggered and still trying to see that in ourselves and say, okay, I know that me being triggered right now makes me feel like this and it makes me want to take this action. But instead of taking that action, I'm going to stop myself. I'm going to say, pause. Why is this in my movie? What is the message here? Where am I being called to grow, to evolve past, to transcend? And how do I do that now, in this moment? And that's the only place we can do that is here, in the physical, in the now. After we're dead and gone, all we can do is reflect back on what we did here. So the only place that we can do any real work that counts for anything is here. And it's not just in our head, and it's not just in our hearts. It's in the interactions that we have with each other. That's really, like when we talk about on the channel, and when we talk about now it's time for the embodiment of the lessons is the most important part. Those are the initiation periods. Those are the dark spots where everything's just sort of like hairy and up in the air, and it's uncertain. And so that's when things are going to trigger you. And that's when the test happens. When it's like, all right, you had some revelations, you had some insight, you studied some things. Has it changed you? Or has it just been information or entertainment to take in? We've got to put you like the pedal to the metal. We've got to test this. We've got to see, okay, now that you've learned this information, now when I'm putting you in the situation when it's uncomfortable, how are you going to respond? How are you going to react? How are you going to feel inside or about yourself? Or like what kind of thoughts are you going to start having in your mind? And are they going to start, you know, going into a downward spiral or whatever? So yeah, it's here that we do the work. And it's that work that helps us in the afterlife as well. The more spiritual work that we do in this life, and the more that we understand about how things work in the afterlife, the easier of a transition it will be. You know, many religions and traditions have periods of mourning that are dedicated to the loved ones doing prayer and devotion and commitment to try to help the soul of their loved one ascend and navigate their way through the confusing transition of death. I know for me personally, when my best friend Trace died, a few weeks later, I had a dream where he came to me, and in the dream, he was very confused, and he was very like, he was all blue and ashen, and he looked like really disoriented and didn't know what was going on and just looked confused. And I had to tell him in the dream, I'm like, you're dead. Like, I was all like, I was in the weeds in the dream. Like, I don't even remember. I think at the time I was in film and I wasn't even waiting tables anymore. But I remember I was in the location it was taking place in was in the Sunday school upstairs in my childhood church. And I was there with my sister and my best friend Trace, who was dead, and like me. And we were doing something on the ground. We were working on something, and we were in a big hurry. And like there was a lot of pressure and a lot of urgency. And I was just like, and this is going on, and this is, and you're doing this. And I was like, and you're dead. And he was like, and I had to tell him he was dead. And so in many traditions, there are processes and like things that the loved ones do to help the soul navigate through the next realm. Because it's just like taking off clothes. When you take off this flesh suit, you're still the same person. So were you a person who was in a good state? Are you in a good consciousness state? Are you in a good place in your spirit? Have you thought about the afterworld? Like, think about the people who are completely practical and don't believe in it at all. I mean, I think these are the people that end up wandering around, like bumping into things. They're like, I don't know where I am. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a ghost. I'm stuck here. I don't know how to get out of this house. And it's like, you didn't connect to the spiritual realm. You didn't sow in winter. Whoever sows in winter reaps in summer. Winter is the world. Summer is the other aeon, the eternal realm. Let's sow in the world to reap in summer. So we do the work here. This is where the work is done. The benefit is the internal satisfaction, the fulfillment. It doesn't matter how many outer world accomplishments and prizes and achievements and honors you get. If you're not satisfied on the inside, you can be a millionaire with yachts and wardrobes and everything, and you're never going to be satisfied. You're never going to be happy. It has to come from here first. You have to be at peace. You have to know how to find fulfillment from within. It can't be from material things. It can't be from external stimuli, right? It has to just, you have to be able to connect with it without any strings attached. Let's sow in the world to reap in the summer. And for this reason, we should not pray in winter. For this reason, we should not pray in winter. Praying is like asking for things. Praying is saying what you want. Praying can be future tripping. Because praying is not, usually how we approach it is not, oh, thank you for what I have now. We can give gratitude in prayers, and that's very powerful to be in the moment and acknowledge what we have in the moment and give that gratitude in prayer. But praying in winter, it's like future tripping. I think this is what it's talking about. It's like trying to live and grasp at what's not here yet. And you're obsessed and you're never in the now and you're never satisfied. Because from winter comes summer. So it's like from doing the work now, then you get the fulfillment. But if you avoid the work, you'll never get the fulfillment. You have to turn around and face your situation where you're at in the moment and do the work there. If someone reaps in the winter, the person will not really reap, but will pull out the young plants. So if you're just trying to rush things and take them before they're ready, if you're just trying to grasp at the light, at the fulfillment, and you're always chasing a high, you're never getting the real fulfillment. You're never getting the real value. You're never getting the goods. You're just getting the fleeting high, the fleeting satisfaction, the gratification, but it's instant gratification. It's not lasting. If someone reaps in summer, they will not really reap, but they will pull out the young plants, and such do not produce a crop. And so like you get ahead of yourself and you want to rush through and you want to have the ends to the means now, but you miss the journey and you miss the process and you miss the transformation that can take place because you're always just living for instant gratification, right? You're not willing to go through a process or delay gratification for a greater return from a deeper value. If someone reaps in winter, the person will not really reap, but will pull out the young plants, and such do not produce a crop. Yet from there, you never really have any insight. You never have any growth. You never have any awareness. I mean, think about the people that you know who have a fairly satisfied life. They're muggles. You know, they're just kind of like living for the moment, and maybe they're not like deeply satisfied. Maybe they're not like deeply troubled either, but they're just sort of like going through the motions. They're empty, you know? It's like, wow, there's no meaning. Like, what are you doing? Like, you don't have any like depth or like passion or like, you know, grit. They don't produce a crop. They don't have depth. They don't have wisdom. They don't have that character, that dimension. That person's field is barren, not only now, but also on the Sabbath. And so what that's saying is that person's field is barren. So they're not really reaping any fruit. They're not having any fulfillment. Their life isn't that fulfilling. It's not that deep. They're just kind of like going through the motions and they're getting by, but like, and these people have it easy. It looks like they've got it all right? But they're not that fulfilled. Everything is just sort of dull and like blah. And the thing is that they're barren not only now, but on the Sabbath as well. So when they leave this life, they haven't done the work that's going to give them any foundation for that life either. So it's all been a waste. They've just sort of had this mediocre, pacified McDonald's drive-through life in this world. No deep fulfillment. No insight, no epiphany, no experience with miracle and wonder and the awe of God. They've never witnessed or had a moment where they really contemplated the vastness of the universe or the reality that we're in, all the dimensions. It's insane just even beginning to scratch the surface of the life that we're in. And yet there are people who never think twice about it. Never think twice about it. They're just going through the motions. They want to have their pack of Oreos and, you know, their Bud Lights, and that's their life. And there's no judgment there, and that's maybe not even it either. Like maybe they have their Fuji waters and their special microbiotic diets. But like that's all they've got going on, and they have never paid attention to the depths. It can be as humble or as grandiose. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you're distracted with this static, this physical whatever's in front of you. I got to pay the bills. We got to go run and do this. There's errands. And you go through these weeks and these months and these days pass by, and you're like, wow, where did the time go? Did I self-reflect? Have I had any meaning? Did I really connect with people when I was with them? Or did I just have fleeting, passing, shallow, vapid exchanges about, hey, yeah, I've been busy. Yeah, me too. Like, where's the depth? Where's the meaning in life? We have to stop and appreciate it, or else it'll just be gone and past. We will have sowed in summer and reaped in winter, and it will have all been in the wrong timing. Yeah, and so this that person's field is barren not only now but also in the Sabbath. So in the Sabbath is when we rest. The Sabbath is that sacred rest. And so it's like in the afterlife, the big Sabbath, the big rest, it's like you won't have fulfillment then either, because you'll just be a wandering spectral. Like, ooh, what am I doing? I've been busy. Y'all been busy? I'm gonna rattle my chains. I'm gonna meddle in your affairs, you know, keep it busy. But yeah, that person doesn't have their soul prepared for the next life. And so even if we're just reborn into the next incarnation, you haven't progressed. You're going to be born into the same situation. That's why in Kabbalah, it's like, suicide is like, it's just not practical, because you're avoiding the thing that you need to deal with now. And like, if you commit suicide, you're just going to like be in the same situation, like when you come back. So you're just fucking yourself. So yeah, I mean, even if it's not that you're a lost wandering ghost, or that you are not at the level you want to be in this life, you're literally, you know, being born into the same situation, the same storyline, the same lessons in the next one. So it's like, do your work now so that you can reap as you go, you know, and you're not stuck in the same cycle over and over and over again of stagnancy, of never moving forward. Okay, so let's read this one more time for the cheap seats in the back. Sowing and reaping. Whoever sows in winter reaps in summer. Winter is the world. Summer is the other aeon, the eternal realm. Let's sow in the world to reap in summer. And for this reason, we should not pray in winter. From winter comes summer. If summer reaps in winter, the person will not really reap, but will pull out the young plants. They'll pull it prematurely before anything's developed. Impatience, right? Foolishness. Self-destruction, self-sabotage. If someone reaps in winter, the person will not really reap, but will pull out the young plants. And such do not produce a crop. The person's field is barren, not only now, but also on the Sabbath. All right, y'all. I hope you have a wonderful night. I hope that you have a wonderful Sunday. Tomorrow we will convene again tomorrow night for the weekly energy forecast, and we will see what kind of energies lie ahead of us for the week to come. All right, y'all be good, but not too good. Ciao.